Hi, and welcome again to another one of these monthly lives that I've been doing all year with Ukrainian teachers of English, trying to find out more about how Russia's war on Ukraine has impacted teachers and affected their practice and affected their lives. Thank you very much to everyone for joining us. I'm hopefully going to be joined by a teacher called Vitalina in a minute. I think she's just having a few problems working out how to join the live. Bear with us there, okay? Someone who's not Vitalina has sent a request to be live in the video. Sorry, I'm waiting for the guest of the day, but if that doesn't work, then I may be joined by who knows who. 1 minute, what is that? Yeah, sorry, Olga. I'm waiting for Vitalina to put up a view request. Yeah, thanks for everyone for joining. Obviously, I think it's important to be continuing with this kind of series because I think, particularly in the Western media, the horrors that are unfolding in Palestine and in Israel are obviously deflecting attention away from what's happening in Ukraine. And if anyone's aware of what's going on there at the moment, you'll know that fighting's still very heavy in certain regions, like in Avdiivka, where it sounds like thousands of Russians have died. Olga, you keep sending me a request to be live, but I'm waiting for Vitalina to join me. Vitalina, you need to just click somewhere and you need to ask, go live, let's see. You're having to listen to me rambling away. Let's see if that worked. Where are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hello. Can't.
Oh, finally. Sorry. I'm so sorry. It's just my first live. I have trouble with buttons and stuff like this.
That's okay. We can't see you at all, Vitalina. So maybe you need to turn your camera on.
Okay. One more button. Okay, like this. Oh, finally, I'm here. I made it. Hello. Sorry for the delay. It took me some time.
Sorry for stopping and starting, and thanks to everyone watching for bearing with us and everything. So hello.
Hello.
It's always a weird question to ask in the current circumstances, but how are you?
I'm fine. Keeping up, keeping afloat, trying to do our best, just like usual. Very positive in, about everything. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you.
You're welcome. And where are you talking from today, Vitalina? Where are you?
Cherkasy. I'm Cherkasy. It's like 200 kilometers from the capital, from Kyiv, Ukraine. So I'm at home in my flat.
In terms of the geography, north, south, east, west, from.
Okay, it's like 200 kilometers north of Kyiv.
Okay.
North of Kyiv. Yeah.
And could you maybe just begin by telling us a bit about yourself, who you are, what you do?
Yeah, sure. I've been teaching since 2000. I'm an English teacher, lecturer at the university. I've been I worked at school since 2000. Then I became a lecturer and assistant professor at the university when I finished the university. And ever since, I'm all about English, teaching English. I do random translations and like moonlight as a translator.
Yeah. Oh, you've frozen a minute there.
Do all this stuff connected with the English language.
And have translation replaced ChatGPT yet?
Pardon, could you repeat your question because something is wrong with the connection?
You haven't found that your translation work has been replaced by ChatGPT or anything yet?
Well, I've been, trying to work out how I can still be useful in translation because people still need people who can walk on their feet and move from city to city and do translations like live translations. So GPT, yes, it will probably it will probably take away some of my work, but that's okay. I basically prefer not like the translation online, but more like an interpreter who is invited by people to translate live meetings, forums, business meetings, and stuff like this.
Okay, okay. And would you mind just sort of talking a little bit about your family and where you grew up and what your kind of family background is?
Thank you. Yeah, sure. My parents are from this region, from Cherkasy region, but when they finished their college, they went to work as young teachers in Western Ukraine, next to Lviv. So I was born in Lviv, actually. And then before, yeah, so I am a Western girl. And at the age of 11, when I was 11, we moved back to Cherkasy. Just a couple of days before the collapse of the Soviet Union. My father knew something. He was in the military, so he decided to move back to where he belonged, to Cherkasy. So in August of 1991, we settled down in Cherkasy again, and so ever since I've been living here.
Wow.
I went to school here. I finished the university here. I met my husband and have 2 children here.
That's a remarkable time to move back to your hometown.
Probably, yeah.
Ooh.
Now I can say that I belong to Cherkasy. It's my town. That's my heart is here, and my parents are buried here, so I belong here.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I missed a little bit at the beginning there because the connection went a bit.
Yeah.
But
connection is a little bit like, yeah, slow. I belong to Cherkasy. I can tell right now that my birth certificate says I was born in Lviv, but now my heart, my family, everything belongs to Cherkasy.
And when you were growing up, what were you speaking at home? Were you from a Ukrainian speaking family or a Russian speaking family, or was it a bit of both? Or
it's a good issue, because even though we lived in Western Ukraine, I would say that we were Russian speaking family, because first of all, my mother was a principal at a Russian school. We lived in Yavori. Do you know this shooting range city where the military bases are situated? So we lived there, and my mother was a principal there, and it was a Russian-speaking school. And it was no problem. We spoke Russian in the family, but spoke Ukrainian at outside in the street with the friends and stuff like this. So for some reason, not for some reason, logically, I grew up speaking 2 languages.
yeah.
Though I went to a Russian-speaking school, and my primary mother language was Russian.
And I'm guessing at that time, if your dad was in the military during the Soviet times, Russian would have been the dominant language, yeah?
Definitely, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But all our relatives were from central Ukraine, and they are and were from the village here. So we spoke Ukrainian here every time we came to Cherkasy region and were with our relatives. It was no problem at all to switch from one language to another. No problem. Probably there was the issue with the accent, but that's okay.
You know, how did you get into English, and then how did you get into English teaching?
I had a wonderful teacher when I was in high school, and somehow that directed me to, falling in love, and I decided that English could be a wonderful profession, and I definitely didn't see myself as a teacher. I thought about the romantic profession of a translator who would go from places to places, or that would work in some kind of a prestigious firm, a company. That's what I had in my head. So something like this.
It's funny how few teachers actually imagined that they would end up as teachers.
Yeah. She had a decisive role on me. Her teaching was wonderful, and she was very, very demanding. She was very strict, and I just loved her, and I decided, like, wow, English is nice. So something like this.
Yeah, how life-changing the impact that one teacher can often be for people. Yeah. You
Yeah,
know, I mean,
definitely, definitely. Yeah.
said it before in various lives, but I had an English teacher when I was 15, 16 who absolutely kind of turned me in this direction and pushed me and saw something that I didn't know I necessarily had. So, you know, it's I think as teachers, it's always a lovely thing to remember the teachers that have had impact on you yourself, and
Yeah, yeah.
to try to aspire to be that person for someone else, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Quite right. Yeah, definitely. It was the teacher. It was a teacher. Later on, she became my employer. I've been working with her for 20 years now. So she's still around, and I'm very grateful to her for the impact that she made on me back in the 90s when I was choosing the profession.
And what was her name?
It's Larissa Alexandrovna Pashas.
So just
She, yeah, she played a decisive role in my life in
okay,
terms of choosing the profession. Yeah.
okay. And can you remember like how and when you first kind of became aware of politics in a sort of broader sense, or was there some kind of like gradual awakening for you, or was there kind of some key moment where you started thinking more about politics in your life?
It was definitely a slow, gradual awakening because it all started in 2004, before the Orange Revolution, when the leading party was the one that belonged to Yanukovych, the former president, and there was very much pressure on all the institutions, governmental institutions, and our university was one of them, and the rector back then belonged to that ruling party, so there was much pressure. And the youth has this attitude towards everything. You know, if there is pressure, you have to oppose it and you have to resist it, and you will never like it. So we belong to that youth, and our students belong to that youth. So we resisted, and the Orange Revolution started. We went to all those meetings in the center of the city. We supported the opposite side. We supported the other president who was like trying to win the game, and Yushchenko then won because, well, you know what was happening back then, and that was the period when we started getting interested in politics.
I guess it's also that time when people start to realize that the actions of individuals, when you work collectively, can have an impact. Yeah. And
definitely, yeah. It was a decisive moment for us to understand that we are a power. Individually, probably not, but when united together, and when we like stand like a united front, definitely we realized the power that we had.
Yeah. And just to fast forward a little bit, what are your memories of 2014?
Well, I remember everything really well because we'd been following what was going on in Maidan for quite a while, and it happened like I happened to be in Kyiv on the 18th of February, just 2 days before all the shootings and killings started. Since I'm a teacher and I'm constantly in my constant like CPD, yeah, you know this term. Professional development, and I was in Kyiv to visit some Macmillan sessions, some Macmillan training, and it was scheduled for 1 p.m. So when I came to Kyiv in the morning, I decided to go to Maidan to take a look at what was going on. And I went there. Something was really starting there, and I was filming it. I was like messaging my family and friends, like, guys, strange things are happening here. So it was getting very dangerous just 2 days prior to the tragic events. And then I had to leave because there were like people on the roof shooting the crowds. There were like trucks on fire, and all this stuff started. It was like very difficult experience. I had to go away to keep myself safe, and I had to attend the Macmillan seminar. And when the seminar ended, it appeared that all the underground stations were closed. Kyiv was blocked. Nobody could get in or out, and all of that stuff started. It was the beginning. I was there just 2 days before that. It took me a while to somehow get back home, because I had to catch a bus that was going to Cherkasy. I took a bus, and it took the bus driver like 3 hours to cross the bridge from one side of Kyiv to another one. Somehow in 6 hours I was home, and ever since we've been following what was going on in Ukraine very, very precisely. I remember lots of the stuff that was going on.
Yeah, I saw recently they've just released the official report into the shootings, and you know, unsurprisingly, there are all kinds of Russian links to the killings and
Definitely.
what was going on. Yeah,
definitely.
And
yeah.
Did you know people who were in the areas that were then affected, like in Crimea or in Donbass as well, or was that a separate kind of experience?
Well, I know the people who well,
areas or the invaded areas.
Yeah, we have friends, we have acquaintances here in Cherkasy who are considered like internally like people who moved to live in Cherkasy, from Luhansk region, from Donetsk region, from Severodonetsk, which is under occupation right now. So we've been talking to people. We know some people who found their new home here, whose flats have been ruined, whose parents stayed there, or like later on moved to Cherkasy as well. There are students whose parents are in the war and were in the war. There are students who had to leave the Crimean Peninsula and to come and live in Cherkasy and other regions. So there are many people all around us who've been affected. I don't ask questions if I know that the people are from that region. Probably it's a sensitive topic for them. But when people want to talk about that, I'm eager to answer or I'm eager to listen and to ask questions.
Yeah. I'm just trying to remember, what's the official term? It's like internally displaced persons, isn't it?
Yeah. Internally displaced people. Or persons.
I was struggling to remember the acronym there. And it's about where you were for the beginning of the full-scale invasion last year.
I was at home in my bed, and since the tension was really, really high in the air with the news and with what was going on the borders all around the northern part and the eastern part and the southern part, we'd been following the news all the time. And I thought that the invasion would start on the 23rd of February, but it didn't, because I thought like Putin would choose some nice date for himself. It's like a national army day for them or something. It never started, and I thought like, no, the war is not going to start. I don't believe it. If it didn't start on this day, it wouldn't start on any other day. But just that very night, everything started, and I was like reading the news. For some reason, I woke up very early in the morning. I was like reading what was going on, and I heard the distant explosions beyond the city limits. I definitely knew that those were the explosions because, well, the sound was incomparable with anything else. I never heard that before. There was one, then another one followed. They hit some targets that they believed that had to be hit. So that's when I realized it was all serious. And then I started checking up the groups that were my friends, and in that friendly group, the guys are from all over Ukraine, and they all started saying like, here are the explosions, Kyiv is hit, the western part of Ukraine is hit, and we realized that it all started. So we were home, we were here.
And what was the next week like for you there?
Oh my God, it was horrible. I had insomnia. I couldn't fall asleep because I was afraid that there would be more explosions. And I didn't go to bed until 6 a.m. I just couldn't, because I had to follow what was going on all around Ukraine, especially Kiev, because we are very close to Kiev. We're just 200 kilometers from the city. So I have two children. I was really worried what to do next. So I'd been following news all of the time. And at 6 o'clock, I would finally fall asleep, and my husband was waking up at 7 to start his day shift. He works from home, so something like this. It exhausted me very much, because going to bed at 6 o'clock a.m. wasn't good for the nervous system, for
how old?
For everything.
How old are your kids, Vitalina?
Back then they were a little bit younger, yes, like 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. Now they are 18 and 17, but back then they were younger, and they were very sensitive and vulnerable, and we had to go through all of this stuff together emotionally. Emotionally, it was really, really difficult. It was like, as I'm thinking back about the feelings that I was going through, it was like, I would compare that to the state when I lost my parents, when my mom died or father died. It was like as if someone killed someone in my family, and I couldn't find the answer. Why? What for? For me, it all seemed unfair. For me, it all seemed crazy. I was lost. I was disoriented. And it was like a total loss in this world. And it took me probably 2 months to get over, to realize that that was war, that it would be a part of our life for some time, and we had to live in it.
And did you think at any point about leaving Cherkasy?
Yes. My husband offered, was it a question about leaving the country? Yes, because the connection was bad.
Or leaving the country?
There was a point. Yeah, there was a point. Yeah. When we thought, not me, like my husband offered me to leave, me and the kids. And so we had a family discussion. And my daughter burst into tears. She has this very special connection with daddy. And I realized that for my kids, it would be even more stressful to leave and to know that father is here all alone.
Yeah.
And live somewhere else. And we decided to improvise. Like we decided to stay, and if things had turned worse, we would have left for sure. But somehow we are in a relative safety here. It's relative safety here, so we can live here, and we feel more or less safe here. So besides, we have 4 cats. We couldn't imagine our life without them, so we decided to stay. Cats were also a decisive criteria for us to stay. So we're all together, which gives us, energy, power, mutual support.
This kind of this connection. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine how people make those decisions, and how difficult it is for the people who've decided to leave and left partners or pets or whatever back home. I think it's very, very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm. We had lots of support from our friends, from my former students who live and work abroad, from friends who are all around Europe and the USA and Canada. They offered us shelter. They offered us help. They offered us whatever we needed during the first months of relocation and for us to settle down. We appreciate it very much. Lots of people called, wrote to us, offered help. But we just decided that we needed to be here. And, well, the family are here, the family are here.
Yeah,
so all the rest of the relatives are here, so we decided to stay.
Yeah. And how has the time since then affected you as a teacher and affected your teaching?
Well, it's tough. It never got easier. Since COVID started, we somehow mastered to teach online. We mastered the platforms. We are handy with all the online teaching, of course, but there were many students who work from other countries.
It's the silver lining of COVID.
Could
is that,
you please say it again?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. It's the silver lining of COVID. It's like the one good thing that came out of it.
Yeah. You see, yes, absolutely, yes.
People,
COVID kind of prepared us for that. Yes,
yeah.
prepared us. It was a good like prep time. Yeah. Now many students are online. Some can attend classes, some cannot because, well, they live abroad. They have the requirements from their countries where they have to attend other classes, like language classes and stuff. There are students who only can show up once in a while. Some students write that they cannot join the class before noon because they're busy working or doing other stuff. So there's both face-to-face teaching, then online work, and then you have to check up Google Class a lot, all of the time, because they submit the tasks they're doing online, and I somehow have to evaluate that. And it's difficult because it's not even like, it's not only online learning, it's hybrid, because I have a class where my students join from abroad. So here are my students who I teach here in the class. Then there are some that we see through the screen, and they're very patient. Yeah. My students are so patient because sometimes I enter the class and I forget that I have to turn on my camera and to go on Google, and like there's sometimes a mess about it. There are classes where all the students are here in the class. There are groups where the students, like 2 are in the class and 3 are online, and there's always this mess, and you have to remember what to do and what not to do, who to turn, when to turn out on the computer and when not. So it's not easy, definitely, but we're doing our best for sure.
And has it affected like your conversations with the students and the way the students relate to you and to each other and the kind of content that you do? Because I was just thinking the other day, I mean, I was teaching a group of Ukrainian teachers, and we were doing an old unit from Innovations Advanced, and it was about scandals, but it was kind of like celebrity scandals. And the teachers were just kind of laughing, saying, none of these things are scandals in Ukraine at the moment. You know, for us, the scandals are corruption, people going on holiday and posting their pictures while other people are on the front line, you know, people talking Russian in public when they should be speaking Ukrainian. And it was really interesting, just the way that the teachers themselves kind of changed the material to make it about the things they wanted to talk about or they needed to talk about. So I was wondering if you'd noticed just, I don't know, differences in content or conversations or the way you relate to each other, or?
Well, first off, we, ever since before the war and ever since the war started, we always start the class with, how are you? How have you been doing? They need to tell me, and they need to see that they are okay, because it's important. Because after the first 2 weeks of war, when we didn't have classes, and then we came back to like teaching, and I remember those faces that came back. That those were different students. Those were kids with sad eyes, with absolutely different faces and emotions on them. Some were crying. Some were lost as well as I was. So there has to be definitely much more understanding, much more like sensitive attitude towards how they're feeling and whether they're doing okay. Some of my students are somewhere else in other countries, not even out of their will, because their relatives tell them to be there and to stay there. So they would like to be back here, but they can't. Some of the students lost their uncles. Some of their relatives are in the front line. So we speak about the war sometimes, and sometimes actually war became a part of our routine at the university. I set up a military rubric. We decided to learn some vocabulary from the war, like 5 words each class is enough. But it's not like we talk about the war all the time. I'm sure my students are reading about the war all of the time. They're stressed all the time. But it's just the rubric, which is both. We all care, we know that this war, and it's also very useful because it appears that when times like this happen, we don't know much about we don't know much of the vocabulary from that sphere.
Yeah.
As for the topics that have, well, no, the topics that we cover, they're very neutral in terms of like texts and issues that we discuss. They're neutral, definitely. But here and there, we come back to the topic of war all of the time.
Yeah. No, it sounds very familiar to my experience of teaching Ukrainians the last 20 months or whatever. And a lot of vocab that I never thought I'd end up teaching, and things that you have to kind of think about. I'm not even sure how I would express this idea in English myself. And yeah. Could you say something maybe about anything else you've been doing or that you've been involved in outside of teaching since the full-scale invasion?
Oh, things that we should boast of. Probably people should know that it's okay to be involved in other stuff and devote time to more than just teaching. And apart from donating, it goes without saying we've been donating a lot.
That's interesting. It goes without saying, because I'm not sure people outside of Ukraine understand the degree to which people inside the country take it for granted that you donate.
Yeah, every like Sunday or Saturday morning starts with me like checking the news and the reels and stuff, and like, okay, it's been a while since I donated something, so I started doing that because once in a while I have to do that. Otherwise, I will not find peace in my heart, because I know that all of these comforts that I have, all this peace, all this like warm beds and the light that I have without blackouts, it's just because. Sorry. Because because there are soldiers who need our help, and because there are soldiers who are fighting. So when there is a need, and when there is a call to find money, to raise money, we do that eagerly with. Okay. So apart from what I've been doing as a teacher since the war started, I was happy to be a translator for some guys who came from other parts of the world, of Europe, who came here to instruct our territorial defense units. So I became a student myself again. I had to learn new vocabulary and prepare to translate for them. Totally new world, totally new vocabulary, and the area we had to get engaged in. And with some of them, we became friends who've been helping some military units a lot. We've been raising money to sort of like, well, if there are people who ask for help, we do that and help some units who need whatever they need, the helmets or the vests or just some kind of like shoes or stuff. So we sometimes I did the fundraising like on Facebook, and my colleagues, my former students, my friends, everybody helped, and a couple of thousand hryvnias did matter. So we bought stuff, and then soldiers came just to my place, to my house. I gave everything away and thanked every single person who donated the money. Besides those guys who we translated for, some of them are very, very helpful, and they collect stuff there abroad. We sometimes have to go there and to bring the stuff from abroad. And one of my friends is a great person, Natalie, and she's a driver. I don't drive. I'm only a companion, but she's a driver, and she goes to Poland and to other countries when volunteers bring a car to some military units. She drives this car, crosses the border, and she helps to leave that car with the units. And in September, to pick up a car abroad, had to go all across Europe, and the car car full of military stuff, very good stuff like shoes, uniforms, combat stuff. So we left the car with a one unit, and gave away the military uniform. My nephew is in the military now, so you know it matters to me a lot. So I was happy to help and bring some uniform for him and for his unit.
A couple of teachers I know from the times I've visited Ukraine are also now serving in the military as well. So we keep in touch, and I know how difficult it is to talk about and how personal it can be. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for what you've been doing. Yeah. And for everyone watching, I'm going to be sharing links later as usual about ways in which people can donate to help Ukraine and help the armed forces. And as Ukrainians always tell me, there are no small donations. So if you're able to just make a small donation.
Definitely. Thank you so much for doing these lives and for amplifying our voices and for letting other people know how much it matters for us to fight, to resist, to stay alive, and to fight this evil. We do hope that we will win.
And maybe, I don't know, these are probably very difficult questions to ask, but do you have any family or any friends in Russia at all?
Not me, like my blood relatives. It's a difficult system. Okay, my husband has a stepfather, and stepfather comes from Kemerovo, from Russia.
Yeah.
So his stepfather has relatives better. Some of the relatives decided not to call ever since the invasion, so they stopped talking to. And some of the relatives, actually, we initiated the conversations. We wrote some stuff to them. How are you? How are you doing, guys? Kind of like tried to initiate a conversation. They were not like trying to start with propaganda or something like this. They were neutral. We're fine. How are you guys? We said we're fine. And somehow these conversations died down. They were not very much interested either because they don't care, or they know that they'll be checked by the security services or something like this. Maybe they are too scared. But definitely in our case, from those like cousins, distant cousins that we have there who used to come here, we communicated and traveled around our region together. There was no negative attitude or propaganda, but lots of our friends have relatives abroad, and some of them lost their relatives because of this war. They're not relatives anymore, as they say.
Yeah. And feel free to say nothing at all in answer to this question if you want, but I know because of the people who followed me over the years that there will be Russians out there watching this, and I do get emails from Russians I know who've watched these videos. Is there anything in particular you'd like to say or ask or tell them about anything?
I was thinking about this question. I'm not sure that there is a message that I need to deliver to them, because those who have not been living this war, who have not been living this pain, who have not been experiencing all of what is happening right now, will probably not understand. But I definitely am thankful to those who are trying to amplify again our voices and to promote the idea that that this is wrong. This cannot happen. This is something out of the way. And for those who don't care and think that we started this war, well, welcome to Ukraine, and come and see how we have started this war. We'll show you the places, the ruined homes and ruined faiths and people without limbs and stuff. Just come over. No problem. I'll show you. I'll show you what we've been in and what we've been living through. I'll be a very nice host, but people need to see the truth.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, no message, actually. No message. You just have to live this word, understand.
How do you feel when you see people in the West or in the States or whatever who call for peace and who demand, an end to military support or who want to see some kind of negotiated settlement? What's your with all of that?
The war became the war made me so sensitive and so easily wound up and angry if it comes to the war issues and stuff like this, that when I read the commentaries and calls for negotiation and stuff like this, I get angry really fast. I feel that my blood pressure is not okay. I feel that I'm getting very nervous. So I read those comments. I'm enraged. I'm furious, and I can't do anything about it because, well, only those people who have not been living this war who can say things like this. When you are here, when you are in this war, you would be of a different opinion. You would never call for peace or negotiations. It's like giving away part of your heart, a part of your like body, just because someone came and said, "Give me that. I want that." It's like the same as like to give a part of your apartment, of your house that you've invested all your love and money into all your life, and then like someone comes and say, "Give me that," and there is the other person who would say like, "Here is the negotiation. Let's negotiate. What if you give away this part of your hand or like of your body or your house?" No, no. We've been talking about it so much with my husband, and like. And for him, it's not like it's not the matter of choice whether there should be a negotiation or not. He knows that he will go to the front line, and it will happen very soon. So the price
Can I ask?
is high.
Yeah, I understand, and I hope enough people in Europe also understand this and understand the price that Ukraine's paying to, the way I see it, to basically protect the rest of Europe at the moment. And when I hear people in the West complain about the cost to our economies and to our countries, I often just think, well, what do you think the cost will be if Russia wins? Do you think things get cheaper if Russia wins? It's a kind of insane. If people are thinking about it in purely economic terms, the idea of a Russian victory somehow leading to a cheaper world where things are easier for us it's delusional, and it's so insanely optimistic that it's painful to listen to. Do you mind if I ask you, Vitalina, a more personal question? I can see, and I know it's an issue as the war drags on, and I know it impacts people in a very difficult personal kind of way. What do you manage to do to look after your own kind of mental health and your own how do you stay sane under these circumstances?
Communication with people, outings. I have this travel bug that I that bothers me all of the time. So I try to plan my weekends with my family or with friends, get out of this routine and travel somewhere, whether it's like next to someplace around my city or another city at all, just another city. So communication helps. Talking to people helps. Sometimes just watching TV series of like neutral nature with my husband or my kids. Going out in the park and spending some time in silence is okay as well. Just wonderful. Just like we did today with my husband. We just went to the riverbank and watched the wonderful sunset. It was absolutely silent, joyful time, but still it ended up in discussing the war issues and what is going on right now. But it's wonderful. I take lots of pictures. I'm enjoying every moment of my life because I don't know whether I will wake up the following morning. It's the thing that we had to get accustomed to. You don't know what will happen tomorrow, so enjoy the moment. Carpe diem, yeah? Something like
Funny,
this.
on dad's side of the family, his parents and relatives all stayed in London during the Blitz, during the Second World War. And one of the things they often said afterwards was that despite all of the horror of that period, it was also for many of them the most kind of emotionally intense point of their life. And I think it is that kind of, because of the uncertainty of knowing what tomorrow brings, it maybe heightens the experience of being in the world now and being, being here now. And for all the talk of mindfulness and being in the moment, it's a kind of horrific way in which people are forced to be in the moment, because you've got no other choice apart from that, because of the way the situation places you.
Yeah,
But I'm
yeah, definitely.
time.
So
Sorry.
it was like, yeah, sorry, yeah. I'm with you there because I understand. Because like, you don't know what will happen the following morning, and you don't know whether you'll be enjoying the light and the warmth and the electricity the following day or weekend. So we're trying to enjoy it. The previous autumn, like just a year ago, October, November, December, and those blackouts and turnouts, that was horrible, and we were not prepared for that. That was something that really, really stressed us out. But somehow we found ways to kind of enjoy it, reschedule, to like tailor our routine and time to a new mode of life. So we knew that we had those 2 hours of light and then 4 more hours without light. So we bought books, charged all our phones, cooked all this stuff that we have in the fridge, took care of the products that would not melt in the fridge. We started living a different life. I bought some books that I knew that I would read during the blackouts. Books during the blackouts. You see, I finally had the opportunity to catch up on reading the books I wanted to. So the lights went out. We turned off all our like lamps that we recharge and start reading or playing games or communicating. If the laptop was charged, we watched some films for an hour or so, and then total silence set. Besides all of that, we had to teach when we had no light. And when you teach, that was awesome, because you teach one half of the group, you teach half of the group who have the light, and then you have to teach another half of the group who have the light like in 2 hours or something. And when we had exams, I had to listen to my students, for example, from 9 to 10, then wait 2 hours, or just another part of the exam had to take part in a couple of hours, because other students had some other timetable with the turnouts, and I had to comply with that because I had to be understanding, and students were understanding. And well, that was crazy, that was difficult, but we survived. I hope that we will survive this winter as well.
The last thing I was really going to ask you about, and I know it's a kind of crazy question to ask in the current context and climate, but how are you feeling about the kind of coming weeks and the coming months?
We are definitely both morally and technically more prepared than the previous winter, the previous autumn. We have more lamps, we have more rechargeable devices, we have very, very like big or powerful power banks, if I call it, like the bigger ones, right? And the idea that, like, actually when you think about it, you know that this will happen, you take it easier. You are more ready to that than you were a year ago. Even though it was hard, we somehow survived. It was hectic. It was difficult to like tailor the life to a new schedule, but somehow it it worked. I'm sure that this summer, oh my God, this winter it will work as well. There's more preparation done, and we are mentally prepared for everything. So let's hope. Let's hope
And
that everything will be okay.
people there are now starting to prepare themselves more for a much longer kind of conflict, or have people had to kind of rethink their expectations, or to kind of reimagine the situation that people find themselves in?
We've been talking about it as well, and we have come to understanding that it will last longer than we hope to. It will last longer than we want to, definitely. Well, we don't make predictions. We just don't make predictions. We live this life. We live it. We just mentally we're trying to prepare ourselves to the fact that probably all of our husbands will be there. Probably even my kid, who is 17 now, and he'll be 18 in September. Probably. So I have time to prepare for everything mental. It's horrendous. It's difficult. It's not easy to think about it, but at least I have time to talk it through with my husband, to talk it through with my son, and well, start preparing mentally first off, and then time will show. Yeah, right. We don't want to like be too optimistic or too pessimistic. We just want to be real and live in reality.
Yeah.
But we've been talking through.
Yeah. I'm sorry to have to ask, and I can't imagine how difficult that is to have those conversations.
That's okay. No problem. We're talking all of the time. That's the best way to work on it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Just to finish off, Vitalina, is there anything else you'd like to share with people? Anything else you wanted to say?
I would like to thank everyone who's supporting, everything who's with us on our side, and who understands what we've been going through. Or I would like to thank those people who are trying and doing their best to help, to donate, to send help, and to be supportive, at least with words. We definitely appreciate that. And thank you to all of my students who joined today. They were writing something like I was reading, and it means a lot to me. It's great that they supported me here. I invited them to this session. Thank you. And thank you, Hugh, for writing all those analytical articles on Facebook. I'm reading. I've been following, and they are so like, they resonate, they relate, very much relate. And thank you for amplifying our voices and being with us in this harsh time. It means a lot to us, really, really, to know that people are spreading the word and educating others. It's great.
And thank you for taking your experiences, even though I know it's a very painful thing to talk about.
Thank you. Well, it's good to share. It's definitely like one of the psychological tricks. You share, you split your pain, and it becomes a little bit smaller.
Yeah. So thank you very much, and Slava Ukraini.
Heroям Slava, thank you very much. Thank you for this live. Yeah, thank you.
Take care. Yeah. Keep.
Yeah.
All right.
Keep in touch. Yeah. Bye. Bye. Thank you, everyone. Bye.